back. I'm a recovered drug addict and alcoholic.
Hi, Chloe.
Hi. Sorry, my shoe's broken. Life is really manageable. I have the pleasure of introducing the main alumni, or whatever. She's my main alumni speaker. No, I'm just kidding. That's not nice. I have the honor of introducing Nikki. Me and Nikki, I love Nikki. I think Nikki's a really phenomenal representation of what God's power can do. I first met Nikki in Hannah's house. She had just gotten out of treatment. I had just came into treatment. And she was at the alumni meeting every Sunday, almost the entire time I was there. And then I got released from treatment, and then we became friends. I didn't stay sober for like probably 4 or 5 months out of that, and then I finally got sober, and then I called Nikki, and then Nikki wasn't sober. And then eventually we ended up both contacting each other, and we were both sober. So Nikki's got a phenomenal story. I love Nikki. I think she's I've seen Nikki's heart. I've seen how she works with other women. I see how she really tries to practice these principles in all of her affairs, and I think she's a really, really beautiful representation of the program and God and the 12 steps and trying to live a principle-driven life. And I don't want to suck up any more of your time, but I love you, and thank you.
Okay, proceed. Oh my God. Y'all know I'm short. Hi, my name is Nikki Maloney. I'm a recovered drug addict.
Hi, Nikki.
And alcoholic. I know. Is this good?
Yeah.
Don't touch the mic. Okay. Man, I've been thinking about this for a while, and like I keep wanting to go write something down. But I was taught back in 2012 when I was here that that's like a big no-no, right? So I just got quiet for a little bit before coming here, and man, I just could not stop crying. And I'll talk more on that later. So, why I was crying. But first and foremost, I just want to welcome all the alumni back and just say I'm so glad that y'all come home. Because that's what this is for me. The first time I came to reunion, I was going through some family of origin stuff and just like really trying to figure some stuff out, and I was just like real emotional. My mom was here. It was the first time I saw her in like 3 years, and it was just did not go well. She's an active alcoholic, you know what I mean? And I escaped the hotel room on the island that she was staying at, and I came over here, and because there's always for me like that whole like I want this family, right? And it's just not in the cards. Like they're all sick, you know what I mean? It is what it is. And sitting here with the people that I came here with the people that came after me, this is my family reunion that I've been wanting so bad for so long. This is a story of how dishonesty will keep you so sick, and how an ego in this program might look all fun on the outside, but it will just kill you. I grew up on Long Island, and I moved down to Texas to escape heroin. That was my plan. My actual plan was I was going to come here and start working for the first time in my life, an honest job, save money, and then once I have enough money saved up, then start doing dope again so I wouldn't have to be dipsic all the time. It was a really great plan. It did not work. About a year after living in Harlingen, Texas, and all these events happening, let me just start with saying, like, I got stuff, right? I got family stuff, I got relationship stuff, I got trauma, I have all that fun stuff, right? But that is not the reason why I ever got loaded. I cannot stress that enough. And it's not why I relapsed. And for a normie and someone who doesn't understand this program and this disease, it's really easy for me to blame all these external things on why I get high. And man, for a lot of my life, it worked. And they co-signed it. And my parents gave me the money and took me to the house. You know what I mean? They're like, oh my God, just stop. You know, my first addiction was self-harm. And I basically told my mom when she found out I was like smoking weed, I was like, either I'm going to cut myself or I'm going to smoke weed. Mom, pick one. And she pulled out a joint. I was like, oh, okay, cool. You know, like this is going to work out really well for me. I went from straight edge to trying just smoking weed for the first time. Within a year, I was doing heroin. I fully believe that I was born a drug addict. I was untreated for a really long time. And once I started getting high, I progressed quick. That allergy lied dormant in me until that first time I put it in my system. So, anyway, God, I grew up in New York, right, and just getting loaded. And, like, man, of course it was fun at a time, right? Otherwise, like, why even, if it was just, like, hell from the first second I did, and I probably wouldn't have done it, right? Because the whole reason why I get loaded is because I like the effect produced. I wanted to get sober way long before I had the opportunity to get sober. I remember I started doing heroin when I was 15 years old, and by the time I was 17, I wanted to be done so bad. I detoxed myself over and over and over, just going through that just hell, right? And like I just kept picking it back up. And I didn't understand, and all my friends were going to treatment. I remember being so jealous that they got to go to treatment all the time, you know, because they had like insurance and like, you know, like their parents had money. I was just like, why? And they'd get out and then we'd go get high together. I'm like, if I could just do what they're doing, like I'll actually stay sober because I want to be sober, right? But I couldn't figure out how to stop. I got to go to a treatment center in New York for about 5 days. My parents thought that the insurance like covered it. It did not. And I went in there just whatever they said, I just wanted it to be true. I just wanted them to tell me what was wrong with me. And I remember in one of the like speeches, right? The guy goes up there, and it's kind of like Chris, right? Except not any solution to be offered. He's like, if you're in here, he's like real abrasive, if you're in here and you have the drugs out of your system, you go back out and you get high, then there's no hope for you. Might as well lock you up forever, right? Because you're choosing to do it. I'm like, right, yeah, no, for sure. I'm a terrible person. You are absolutely correct. There is no excuse. I was loaded shortly after, right? So I'm just a terrible person. So I moved down to Texas with my family because I was given the choice of continuing what I was doing. They didn't know what I was doing, but they were like, yeah, man, you can move back in with your mom. Like my dad and my stepmom said this. You can live on the street or you can come with us to Harlingen, Texas. And I'm like, So I stayed there for a little bit while they came down here. After about a few months, I called them. I was like, I'm going to die. I need you to come get me. Did that. Detox on the drive down there. That was interesting. And man, I mean, the thing is like I kept getting loaded. I'd gone to meetings. I had a lot of friends that went to treatment and told me about their triggers list and all these things, but none of it ever meant anything. I went to meetings. I remember this one really sweet lady in Long Island. Man, I was sitting there just bawling my eyes out, and she put her little sweater on me and held me, and she was like, honey, it's going to be okay, keep coming back, just do this one day at a time. God, I wish that would have been enough. But it wasn't, right? That didn't tell me anything. It didn't teach me anything. I am grateful for that lady for showing me that love, but it didn't do anything. So, anyway, a bunch of stuff happened. And I'm going to just like fast forward a whole bunch. Because like I said, I was in Texas for a year before I got to Origins. And the way I got here was 100% God. I was with my ex that I would not let go of. And, we kind of dope again. It was real bad. And I was going to all these different hospitals looking for detox, because in New York, you can just go to a hospital and go detox and then leave. lower your tolerance, go back out and just do that over and over. And they're like, we don't do that here. And we're like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, we became lower tolerance. Like, we're so screwed. Like, oh my God, it was just insane. My parents, again, have no idea, like, what's going on. Like, things are going super well at home. And man, again, like I said, like, a whole bunch of stuff happened, but I'm not going to share those events because they literally don't matter. Because the fact is that I used those, when I came to Hannah's house, I used all those things as the excuse of why I found H again and why I went down that path again. But in retrospect, I'm looking at it, it was all leading right there. I just had an excuse to make it go quicker. That's all it was. So my ex gets sick, and she gets admitted into a hospital. And we tell them, in Harlingen, and we tell them, like, hey, man, she's a heroin addict. You need to detox her. And they're like, we don't do that here. We'll give her 1 Ativan a day. And I'm like, oh, my God, can't do that. Fast forward, I'm, like, giving her whatever while she's in the hospital. Get caught. Cops come, freaking out, and I get arrested. Mind you, I wanted to get sober for a long time before I ever got the opportunity to, without ever having consequences. I was never kicked out. My parents are drug addicts, dude. Like, they don't want, my dad was in the living room smoking crack while I'm shooting dope in my room. No one had any idea what was going on. I told my mom, hey, you want to see me on the weekend? You better buy me, a bottle. And, like, she did, right? Like, I didn't have a job to lose. I was a kid. But I was so tired of being miserable. That was my consequence, right? And then it was like, I left everything I ever knew growing up. There was another consequence, but there was no legal stuff. There was no, like, oh, I lost the wife and the job and the whatever. Like, none of that stuff happened, I was just in so much pain. So that was my first real legal problem. And, yeah, dude, Cameron County down here, they do not like heroin addicts. They really don't. We baffle them. They want to make an example out of you. And they told me I was looking at 8 to 10 years, and I was like, oh no, like, I'm about to be so sick. That was all I could think about. You know what I mean? So anyway, they arrest me, and I keep screaming at them that I'm gonna die. And they gave me Tylenol, and I'm like, no, like, I'm literally gonna die. So because I kept screaming that, they had to bring me to another hospital in Harlingen to get my vitals cleared. While I was there, they told me that, I was going to be really uncomfortable, but I wasn't, in fact, going to die. And I was going to go to jail. And I just broke, dude. And this woman walks in, this tall, blonde nurse, and she's like, hey, I heard that you're a heroin addict, and I want to help you. And I'm just, like, bawling. I'm like, please. And she's like, do you want help? I'm like, more than anything in the world. And she said, a treatment center on South Padre Island just opened up 2 months ago, and I want to help you get in. And she's like, but it's long term. Are you okay with that? I'm like, how long? She's like, 45-day minimum. I'm like, I'll go for a year. I don't care. Just help. 3 days later, I was in there. And guys, that doc, damn it. That doc is where I found God. I went in there an atheist. I was fully convinced that loss and trauma and all these things were the reason why I got loaded. And also that I just didn't care enough. I fully believed that that's just who I was, and I was a bad person, and there was no hope. And Origins was the first place to tell me that was false. They were the first ones that there were a whole bunch of drug addicts working there, and they explained the cycle of addiction. They explained what the mental obsession was, what the physical allergy was, and what the spirituality was, and they explained what the solution was. They made it make sense. It never made sense before. I could not figure out why I couldn't just stop when I wanted to so bad, right? Like sitting there, like getting high, crying, saying, I don't want to do this, screaming out to a God I don't believe in, asking for help. And in that house, and it all clicked. And I wanted what they had. Now the thing is, my intake date to Hannah's house was 12/21/11. I know the day, stuff. My sobriety date is August 5th, 2016. That's where the dishonesty comes in. So the thing is I learned a lot of things in Origins, and I really wanted it, guys. I wanted it so bad, but I heard, it's not for people who need it. It's for people who want it. But then here, it went a step further. It's not for people who want it. It's for people who just do it, right? Because the thing is, I wanted it. I wanted the freedom, and I wanted this life, but I didn't want to let go of the things I want to let go of. And the thing is I use this book against myself. Y'all, I'm sorry, but if you're messing up and you're doing all these things and you're going what's the word? Progress, not perfection. I'm shaking. You're doing it wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, it's not going to work that way, because I used it against myself so many times. And I would use like a half of a paragraph, but I wouldn't keep reading. Like, hey, man, yeah, if you mess up in sex conduct, it's cool. Like, you might not get loaded. Keep reading. Right? If you continue to do it and you're not sorry, then you will get drunk. This is not theory. Right? And that's what I did. I'm like, oh, progress, not perfection. I'm not with that ex, but now I'm like having this really weird, dishonest relationship over here. Just weird stuff, right? That I tried to just pull off, and I thought it was okay because, I was taught by, Origins, and I know God. A lot of my story was I gained a relationship with this power greater than myself. I say God, it's one syllable. I'm not religious to any extent, but man, I felt this power so intensely. I did have those burning bush experiences. Those did happen. But the thing is I didn't do the work to follow up on that. I thought I did. I fell victim to the delusion that I could rest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if only I managed well, right? It's the only time in the book it ever tells me I'm a victim. Is that I'm a victim of my own delusions, and that was the truth. Golly, I was a liar, man. I was an ego-based liar. I walked around with a big book, and I could tell you every word in it. I had it memorized. And I was passionate about it. That's true. Because the thing is I had an effect produced from this program. And I believed in it. I just wasn't willing to let go of X, Y, and Z. So I get into one really weird relationship, and then like that, ends, and I just... Okay, so this one time. So I'm seeing a person, and everyone around me is like, don't do it, it's not good, you're gonna die over this. So I'm like, no, like literally I said, no, I was taught by the Ramers, I have a connection with God. Using it against myself, right? Like, you are not the arbiter of my sex conduct. Keep reading, like, hey, counsel with other people is probably a good thing because you have no idea what you're doing, right? I'm like 9 months sober. And so this person, we have a thing, and she leaves. And I'm just like drowning in self-pity for God knows how long. And finally, I started coming back to Hannah's again, trying to get back into, this life. And there was this other client, and we started performing on the island because she was like a singer and I rap, whatever. And I was so excited to go do that. And one night, we're there, and I get a text from a friend from my home group in Harlingen, and it's that girl is back, and I lose it. I call my roommate, sponsor, right? Just like half measures down the line, whatever. I ended up engaged to that sponsor. It's a whole thing. It was just not, God, it was not good. I'm like, I need you to put your sponsor hat on. Here's what's going on. What do I do? And she's like, don't do it. And I'm like, I'm doing it anyway because I have a connection with God. So I jump in my car and I'm just like insane. This is one of my favorite stories just because like it just shows like I believe in God. And I love God. I know that God has better things for me, but I'm just so damn stubborn, right? And I want what I want. And I think that my self-will, eventually God will be like, all right, you're right. And that was never the case. So I start driving, and I'm like, okay, so I'm an hour away from this meeting. If I drive really, really, really fast, I could get there in about 25 minutes, right? And then there's about 20 minutes left of the meeting, but they'll still all be outside talking. And after that, they'll go to Whataburger for fellowship, and it's going to be fine. And if not, I'll just roll by your house. It's fine. Like, I don't care. Insane. So I started driving, and I'm talking to God, and I'm like, right, so like, God, like, you are everything or you're nothing. So if I'm not supposed to see her, then you won't let me see her, right? But there's free will. So are you, in fact, everything or are you nothing? Like, I can do whatever I want. How about this? I'm literally out loud in my car arguing with God. Nuts. I'm like, okay, you give me a sign, and I won't go see her. So it starts raining, and I'm like, okay. Literally nothing. I'm like, that's Mother Nature, okay? I don't care. I'm like, I'm gonna keep going. This is not enough. Like, if you're everything, like, I need an actual sign, right? So I keep driving, and it starts downpouring, right? I cannot see an inch in front of my face. I'm hydroplaning, doing 5 miles an hour on a 70-mile-per-hour road. Terrified. Absolutely terrified. And I'm like, okay, so here's the thing, God. This isn't enough. I'm going to pull over real fast. I'm going to wait for this to slow down, and then I'm going to go on my merry way, and I'm going to see this chick because I need you to be okay. Right? And here's the thing that like I knew was a red flag is that I felt centered when I was with her. I'm supposed to feel centered with God. Right? But I didn't care. So that didn't matter at the time. So I go, I pull off at the closest exit, and I turn in. The exit is McCulloch. If you're going towards Harlingen, you'll see it. And if you want to pull off the exit, be my guest, because I'm going to when I leave here. I pull off, and I'm looking for somewhere to park. In my 95 Nissan Maxima, this window does not roll up, and the rain is going this way. So I find a parking lot, and I'm like, okay, cool, and I turn in the one spot that makes sense for me to turn in. And I shut off my car, and I look up, and guys, I swear to God, I'll show you the picture. There was a sign in front of my face that said, looking for a sign from God, this is it. So I went home, and I cried, because I was so scared. My roommate was like, oh, what's wrong? Why are you scared? It's just God. And I said, I can't even have a doubt. And she said, when are you going to understand that you're a drug addict, and if you doubt that there's a God, you're going to die? And that stuck with me. Not enough to do what it needed to do. Homegirl hit me up and wanted to make amends. So I let her. Anyway, long story short, I got loaded, right? So it didn't go well, nothing went well. I got loaded, got into another really weird, dishonest relationship with the person I was already living with. It was just a bad time. But the thing is that all I wanted to do more than anything was come back to Hannah's house and work here because I finally figured out what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a recovered woman. I wanted to work at the place that helped me get well. The problem is that I wasn't actually a recovered woman. And I made a lot of mistakes. I lied about my sobriety date to get the job here. And I stayed sober somehow for a while. If anyone in this room is lying about the sobriety date, and you're so scared that people are gonna not love you anymore, or give up on you, or hate you, let me be your sign, because that's not the truth. some people in this room tried total intervention on me because someone snitched, right? And I was like, I am out. Like, they're like, come back to campus, we need to talk to you. I'm like, I got a weird feeling. Y'all are gonna try to get honest. I am out of here. I can't do it. Like, and then my sponsor, whatever. Like, I was trying all these different things. Like, I have a sponsor. Well, I can't be honest with her, so I might as well just not have a sponsor. And I'm just like dying inside, right? Like doing weird stuff at my. And this sponsor I had for like a day calls me. And she's like, look, man, we know. And I just start bawling. I'm like, okay. I got honest, right? And God, everyone loved me. They're like, we don't care. We just don't want you to get hurt. We know what dishonesty looks like in this deal, and we don't want you to get loaded again. We don't want you to die, right? And the thing is that like I can't be that dishonest for that long and expect to stay sober. I was dishonest for 2 years. And in that 2 years, I was also in that relationship that was absolutely abusive. And she was out the whole time. And I'm just lying. I'm lying to her family. I'm lying to my friends. I don't even have friends. And I forced myself to be completely alone. Finally, I got loaded again. And guys, let me tell you something. This place is home. Given sufficient reason, the average moderate drinker, hard drinker, whatever it is, can stop, right? And stay stopped. I can't. If that was the case, I would have stayed stopped for this job. For my girls, my clients. You know what I mean? I was so scared of letting them down. I get called into the office. And, man, golly, it was so rough. They were like, hey, we think, because I kept coming to work a mess, right? I could not stop crying. And they were like, we think you're in an abusive relationship. And I'm like, I don't know about all that. But they were right, disclaimer. But, like, I'm not sober. And they're like, okay, we still want to get you help. That is origins. I was like, I don't have my job anymore, right? And they're like, no, you don't. But, like, we want to help you. I'm like, that's the thing, dude. Like, they're like, will you accept help? And in that moment, I'm like, no. You know what I mean? The thing is here's the fact of it. I didn't shoot dope in that last relapse. It didn't get there. What happened was I was completely miserable. I was smoking a bunch of weed, knocking dust off, and cutting myself, and abusing diet pills. I mean, and just trying so hard to keep my home life together that was never mine to keep together, right? I didn't want anyone to interfere with the woman that I thought, I was going to live my entire life with, and no one could tell me any different. That's one of the reasons why I kept being loaded. Not one of the people that I've been with, none of the loves, none of the heartbreaks, none of those were the reason why I got loaded. Y'all, it's my sex conduct. It's what I did around that. It's my thought life around that, right? The obsession. It's not them. They're not that powerful. Fear and love never kept me sober, and love can never get me high. That's not how that works, right? Like, if Ken over here could get me loaded, like, I can't change him. I'm just screwed the rest of my life, right? And Origins is the one that told me that, like, that's not the case. It's an internal thing all the way through. And this time, because at one point I had 19 months sober, and then I had however long it was, I was just like a liar. I don't even want to go there, you know what I mean? This time around, I had to do everything completely different. There was not a choice. I didn't want to keep doing it that way. I was so tired, So I finally called Chad, and I'm like, I ran out of money, I'm tired, I don't want to do this anymore, I can't. And he was like, well, have you called one of my old clients who now owns a sober living and is like absolutely killing it? Y'all want to talk about humility? Let's talk about humility. I was an RA at Origins, and I got scholarship into a sober living for one of the girls that went here while I was an RA. Oh, thank you, Kelly Groback. And man, I am so grateful for her. It was so hard, but I put all my stuff in my car, and I watched that woman that I tried so hard to just whatever, lay in bed, dope sick, and I was like, I gotta go, right? And I get in my car and I drive from Harlingen to Kerrville, Texas, which I'd heard so much about from being at Origins. So I was like, here we go. And man, I had this expectation that I was gonna get there, and wait, back up. So one thing I do want to say is when I sat in that office with Chad and Stephanie Smith, obviously, throughout this whole story, I'm crying, right? I'm just crying all the way through. I am a basket case. I'm very emotional. It's a thing, right? So I'm sitting in that office, I'm crying, and I'm like, I'm just a fraud. I don't think it was ever real. And what comes to my mind on almost a daily basis is Chad's response. And he said, Nikki, you aren't a fraud, dude. You're a sick girl who got well and got sick again. That's it, you know? Anyway, with Kerrville, I have this expectation that, like, I know the deal, I know what to do. I'm gonna get there and I'm gonna be, like, super recovered and just, like, throw the big book everywhere and quote everything. It's gonna be wonderful and I'm gonna be so free. And I was so miserable. It was not okay. Guys, this was the hardest thing. When I first got sober, right, I'm dope sick, and it's the first time I'm ever hearing this stuff, I was just like, yes, give it to me, right? This time, I had an educational variety spiritual experience. It was painful because everything had to be different. This time there wasn't keeping these secrets. There wasn't holding on to what I wanted to. This wasn't, I'm gonna do the steps and quote the book and do my thing and come up here and not practice any of the principles, right? It had to be all or nothing. And I wanted it all. And it took a while. I got sponsors as soon as I got there. Went through 1, 2, and 3. Did a really weird 4-step. He was a weird guy, my sponsor. I ended up getting a new one, but like it was good for what it was. You know what I mean? I had an experience. He told me some stuff about myself that really I wasn't expecting. And doing the 4-step this time was a lot harder because the first time I gave myself a lot of grace because I didn't know any better. Right? I was a kid basically. This time I'm like I knew it and I still did it, but I still had to give myself grace because I was still sick. Did the 5th step. Went to this beautiful place in Kerrville to do my 7-step prayer. And guys, look, I still wanted to get loaded, right? Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. I didn't just like have it the way it was the first time, where the mental obsession was removed and I'm recovered and I'm going to meetings. I didn't introduce myself as recovered for at least 6 months because I didn't want to lie anymore. I was so scared of being a fraud. Thank God, because it motivated me to do what I needed to do. There was a time where I wanted to give up real bad, and I was on the phone with an alumni I was her RA. I was like, you know what, dude, I don't know if I can do it. I just can't, I'm just so depressed. I can't make myself do the work. And she was like, you are so selfish. Shut up. She's like, I'm so tired of hearing you whine. And that was the origins that I needed to hear. That was the lace up that I needed. You know what I mean? Like, man, did I just like burst into the 4th dimension right there? Absolutely not, but it stuck with me, you know? When I was 2 months sober, I came to this reunion, and I made a lot of amends. I was still in that relationship at that point. I was still in that relationship a year after that. One of the amends I made, I asked what I could do to make it right. And he said, one of the things was, I want you to never put that girl before God again. That was hard. but that's why we're not together anymore. I can't keep making these amends where people are like, keep doing what you're doing. I'm like, thanks, cop out. Like, if they say keep doing what you're doing, and I'm not doing the work, I'm not keeping my amends. If this guy that cares so much about me said, man, look, you put this relationship before God, that's why you keep getting loaded, he tells me not to, I can't do it anymore. I had to do things differently. I'm still making amends. There were just so many people I lied to. So I hit a year sober. It's the hardest year, arguably, of my life. Probably not like of my whole life, but it was a different kind of difficult. I wasn't used to that. And I got really involved. I started doing H&Is, which I did. I would come to Hannah's and do the deal here, but before I started working here. But it's like harder because like we get the message here, I came here more for codependency than anything. I just love being home. But there I started doing H&Is and I started sponsoring people as soon as possible. And I struggled, but I kept doing what was put in front of me. I kept doing what was asked of me. I was working at a hibachi restaurant, and I was just like, man, this is not what I'm supposed to be. Like, I'm scared of working treatment and being abroad again, but at the same time, like, I know that's where I'm supposed to be, I think. And I just kept asking God, like, please just show me where to go. And a friend that I worked with here at Origins would call. They're like, hey, why don't you move to Dallas and work at this place? And I'm like, absolutely not. Never been to Dallas in my life. I hated Dallas. Would never move there. I was like, I'm going to end up in Austin. And over the course of a few months, I kept praying. And just randomly, she'd call me. The only thing she remembers that, like, she did that. But, like, she would just call, and I'm like, no. And then, like, it was, like, the third time or so. That was, like, there's a direct correlation between I'm asking God to show me where I need to be and her phone call. So I moved to Dallas a year ago. I'm still there. Thank God. This last year has been the most growth I've ever had in my life. I've done things I did not want to do. I've gone through a lot of pain. I really want to, the friends that I have right now have really normalized for me that this isn't all, we hear it all the time, like recovery isn't all, rainbows and unicorns, but I don't think that we really get what that means. It's hard. It's hard sometimes. No, I'm not fighting to stay sober. No, I'm not sitting here trying to think through the drink or whatever. Like, that's not the case, but life still happens, right? Like, I still have some decisions I need to make that have nothing to do with drugs or alcohol, but eventually, if I make the wrong decisions and I decide to just keep staying dishonest, that's exactly where it goes to, right? As a drug addict, I am obligated to be an honest and try to be a good person. Otherwise, I get loaded. My melody doesn't care, My melody will come back in a second. I can stay sober dry for a while. I've proven that to myself, but it's no way to live. I don't want to do that. And man, when I got, everything has changed. That breakup was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I prayed, because I knew it was right. I was like, God, please make her do it, because I can't. And she did. On the phone, she was not happy. And the thing that I did different there, because we'd broken up before, and I would call Kelly and be like, oh my God, guess what, I did it, right? And she's like, oh, thank God. And then a month later, just don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. We're back together, and I don't want to hear about it. It's fine. Right? All these firm resolutions. And it's not just drugs and alcohol, right? It's everything in my life, because I got to practice these principles in all my affairs. And that's exactly what I didn't do. This is the story of what not to do, right? This time was different. Instead of doing when I would burn my rigs and be like, I'm never going to do dope again, you know what I mean? It was a whole ceremony, firm resolution. Like, the same exact thing I would do with her. I'd call everyone and be like, are you proud of me now? Like, I broke up with her and get back together with her. This time, I didn't do that. right? I didn't need to tell everybody. I didn't need to make a big thing and get the validation and whatever. I didn't stay texting, just like I miss you, whatever. I blocked her on everything, right? And then I unblocked her, and then I blocked her again. She's been blocked for a long time now. And the army of women that God has put in my life is absolutely, guys, I mean, I put my desired chip on Facebook when I got to Kerrville, and I was in so much shame. The comments I got from the people that I met here, I just remember sitting in bed crying, and I remember always thinking, like, whenever people would be like, oh, Nikki, yay, or whatever, like, people would be like, I'm so humbled right now, you know, and people are like doing stuff and like giving them praise, like, I'm so humbled by y'all's support. That was never my experience. I'm like, that's right. Come on, tell me how great I am. Tell me how much you love me. It was always an ego boost. I finally physically felt the sensation of humility. And it was, thank God, it was intense. The support I got here, this is family. This is home base for me. I have a group of women I do accountability with, that I have to stay honest with. I've struggled, and they have laced me up, and they have supported me, and they've loved me through it, and vice versa. I get to show up for people in ways that I never thought I would actually be able to do. I sponsor women, and they're sponsoring women. And it is so cool that, like, because there's always that voice back there. It's like, are you a fraud? Like, is it real? Are you lying again? You know? Do you really have 2 years sober? But that's not real, because, like, I check in with God, and I talk to a sponsor that I love, and I'm like, no, like, it's okay. Like, I'm doing it. God, there were so many things I wanted to say, and I don't think I said any of those things. But I do want to invite y'all to do with me when we circle up. What I like to do is I don't close my eyes. That's awkward. I don't close my eyes. I look around the room while we're all praying to see all the people that we're all here for the same reason, on the same journey, and trying to do the same deal under the same God. And that is absolutely breathtaking to me. The one other thing that I'll shut up is this morning at that meditation that Laura did, when she said to go, you know, to our safe place or whatever, and find a place to lay down, I laid down, and in my head, or I walked over to this place, and in my head, there was Kelly and Taylor and all these people that I got well with a long time ago in sin, and in my head, we lay down on the beach, right, as she's guiding me through this meditation, and then, like, I realized that it was real. I was laying down with them. They've always been here. Kelly showed up to Kerrville a month after I got there and prayed with me outside of the meeting. And that's what, you know, one of the moments I knew everything was going to be okay. I love y'all so much, and that's all I got.
We are now going to bring this meeting to a close. Let's thank Nikki one more time for sharing their experience and knowledge with us. We do not offer tips at this meeting. We would like to invite you all to join us tomorrow at 11 a.m. for our annual Alumni.